For more on the market action today, I spoke to James Rosenberg from Macquarie Private Wealth. James Rosenberg, thanks for joining Lateline Business.
Pleasure.
A new month, a new government, but still the local share market is failing to fire. Why is that?
It is a bit, and I think that really the market's performance today was more a result of what happened on Wall Street overnight rather than anything that's happened in Canberra with the new government. Wall Street had an incredible run. I think last week was the strongest run up to the Labor Day weekend in about 20 years or so, so not surprising to see it come off a little bit. There were some fresh concerns about European debt, and that weighed on investors, and overall we saw our market take a relatively modest hit today.
The banking sector was the big disappointment. Was that mainly offshore? You mentioned Europe sentiment.
Definitely that's the case. The banking sector gave up about 70% of the market's losses, or about 24.5 points. Across the board it was down in the order of 1.25%, 1.5%. Now that's a little bit less than what was the case on Wall Street, but again, the fears of European banking exposure, both from US banks with an exposure to that part of the world and particularly European banks, of course. Investors are just a little bit more gun shy, and we saw a lot of those banks down 2 or 3%. So the fact that our market was down today in that sector, not overly surprising, and it's all relative, but not a bad performance in relative terms.
Now, of course, the rumour mill has cranked up again, this time about the future of Lateline Holdings CEO Wal King. What's been the market reaction today?
Well, the stock was down again. It was down a little bit more than the broader market, but only a little bit. There's nothing out from Leighton's, it should be pointed out, but there was some quite a bit of talk in the financial press this morning that David Stewart will be the man to replace long-serving CEO Wal King. David Stewart's well respected by the market. He's got a phenomenal track record, having been brought up in that business through Tees and John Holland. In fact, while he had the helm of John Holland between 2006 and 2009, that business managed to double its revenue and triple its earnings. So it's pretty much going to be steady as she goes, if it is in fact the case that he will be anointed to replace Wal King.
And just briefly, Wattle shareholders have given the green light to the takeover by Valspar of the US. Is this just a formality?
Well, it is a formality. It has to come up to the federal court on the 13th of September, and I guess that'll pretty much be a formality too, particularly after shareholders voted overwhelmingly in favour of the bid. It was announced back in June, a $1.67 cash bid from the US-based Valspar, and I think the fact that it was so overwhelming, it was about 99% of shareholders voted for it, does pretty much mean that it's in the bag. The stock was trading just a half-cent lower than that bid today, so really there's not a lot of room to move either way.
James Rosenberg, we'll leave it there, but thanks for talking to us this evening.
Pleasure, Bridget. Good night.